Whenever Bhavish Agarwal from Ola Electric announces something, it's usually more than just a new product launch. And their latest reveal of a brand new battery cell, well, that's a perfect example. This is a really critical moment, not just for Ola, but for India's entire mission to become truly self reliant in technology. So let's break down what this new battery really means for the company and for India's bigger blueprint for building deep tech. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First up, we'll look at the new cell itself. Then, we're going to get into the nitty gritty of the battery chemistry and why it matters so much. We'll put Ola's strategy head to head with its biggest rival, see how it all fits into national policy, and then we have to address the tough reality of their customer experience. And finally, we'll ask the big question: what does all this mean for anyone trying to build something ambitious in India today? All right, let's jump right in. Section 1: A new Indian cell. The core of the news is this. For the very first time, a major Indian EV company isn't just designing its own battery cell, they're ready to mass produce it right here in India. And that, right there, is a huge deal. So, Bhavish Agrawal just unveiled their new LFP cell. LFP stands for lithium iron phosphate. Now, this isn't just a small upgrade, it's a fundamental change in their tech, and it's a giant leap towards owning their entire manufacturing process from top to bottom. Okay, let's talk numbers for a sec, because the format here is really important. 4610, it's actually super simple. That just means it's a cylinder that's 46 millimeters wide and 100 millimeters tall. And while that diameter is the same as their old cell, this new one is quite a bit taller. Trust me, that's not just a random tweak. This new shape is a direct result of that big shift in battery chemistry. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter. The decision to switch from the old NMC, that's nickel manganese cobalt, to this new LFP chemistry is a massive, massive bet. It comes with some serious trade offs, but as you'll see, these trade offs seem almost perfectly designed for the Indian market. Okay, so take a look at this table. It basically lays out the whole story behind Ola's choice. First off, cost. LFP is way cheaper because it uses stuff like iron and phosphate, which are everywhere, instead of expensive and hard to get metals like nickel and cobalt. Then you've got safety, a huge one. LFP is more stable, meaning it's much less likely to overheat, which is obviously a game changer in a hot climate like India's. And the third big win is lifespan. We're talking over 4,000 charge cycles. That means the battery lasts longer, which is great for everyone. But there's always a catch, right? Here it is. LFP batteries have what's called lower energy density. All that really means is you need more of it to get the same amount of power. So the battery pack ends up being heavier to get the same range as an NMC battery. They also aren't great in the cold, but that's not a huge problem for most of India. Ola is basically betting that for their customers, a cheaper, safer, longer lasting battery is way more important than a slightly lighter scooter. Now, this whole move gets even more fascinating when you zoom out and look at the rest of the Indian EV scene, because it puts Ola on a completely different path from its main rival, Ather Energy. You've got two totally different playbooks here. On one hand, you have Ola. They started out by buying a Dutch company called Edergo, kind of a buy then build strategy. And now they're taking that final step to making everything themselves, right down to the battery cells. Then you have Aether, a classic startup story born out of IIT Madras, a build then buy approach. But here's the thing, when it comes to the single most important part of the vehicle, the battery cell, they're still importing it from a Chinese company. It's just a fundamentally different way of thinking about how to build a company. Okay, so this push for making everything in India isn't just about Ola's business strategy. It plugs directly into what the Indian government is trying to do with its Big Production Linked Incentive Scheme, or PLI, which is all about getting more companies to manufacture stuff locally. To get a sense of where they're at, look at this number: 6 gigawatt hours. That's what Ola's Gigafactory can produce right now. And to be clear, that is a huge jump from the 2.5 gigawatt hours they were at just a little while ago. For India, that kind of capacity makes them the undisputed leader. So, 6 gigawatt hours sounds massive, right? But here's the real question: is it big enough to get the full backing of the government's incentive program? Well, the magic number to actually qualify for that PLI scheme is 20 gigawatt hours. So what that means is, even though Ola is way out in front of everyone else in India, they've still got a long, long way to go to hit that government target and unlock those powerful financial benefits. And look, this isn't just about Ola building its own factory. They're basically putting out a call to action for the entire Indian startup scene to build out the rest of the puzzle. We're talking about everything: the raw materials for cathodes and anodes, the specialized manufacturing gear, all of it. The real dream here isn't just an Indian battery cell, it's a whole Indian battery ecosystem that can stand on its own. So, we've got this incredible story of deep tech innovation, of national ambition, but you really can't tell this story honestly without talking about the elephant in the room. And that's the huge gap between Ola's amazing manufacturing goals and what's actually happening for their customers on the ground. I mean, just look at this quote. It pretty much says it all. And this isn't a one off comment. You scroll through their social media, and it's just flooded with stuff like this. People frustrated with waiting forever for spare parts, service centers that don't respond, and not enough trained mechanics. And that's what creates this crazy paradox, right? It's like you have two different companies in one. There's the pioneering Ola that's building world class technology that the country absolutely needs. And then there's the other Ola, the one that's struggling with the absolute basics of customer service and support. So, after looking at the tech, the strategy, and the very real struggles, what's the big takeaway? What does Ola's journey, the good and the bad, tell us about what it takes to build a truly ambitious tech company in India? At the end of the day, Ola's story really boils down to one fundamental question for every founder and builder out there. What's the real long game? Is it getting the deep tech, the core product, absolutely perfect, even if you stumble on customer service at the start? Or does that failure to deliver a good experience ultimately undermine even the most brilliant innovation? It's the central dilemma for anyone building hardware in India, and Ola is living out one possible answer right in front of all of us.